How's everybody doing today?
Good. Good.
So I'm here to talk about Murol, a new photo sharing app that allows you to share, capture, and display photos on a strictly landscape interface. So I'm going to start off by asking a couple of questions. How many photographers do I have in the room? Professional photographers? One. Okay, I only have 3. So how many people take photos with their smartphones? Now, how many people share those photos to, your Instagrams, your Flickrs, Facebook? Has anybody heard of ViscoCam? Or 500 pixels? Anybody? How many people has heard of Murol? All right, well, hopefully by the end of this presentation, we'll have more hands go up. So, first I'm going to start off with a history of kind of an illustration of some of the evolution of digital cameras, starting out with your Polaroid, and just some different designs for digital cameras. And as you can see, what's constant amongst all these different cameras is the fact that they're all in landscape. So digital cameras were originally manufactured to be used in landscape orientation. So it wasn't until the revolution or the evolution of the smartphone that we started taking photos in portrait mode or vertical photos. So what we did is we created an app that allows you to, like I said, capture, share, and display photos in landscape orientation. So the entire app is in landscape. You sign up in landscape, you take photos in landscape, you like photos in landscape, you comment on photos in landscape. So what we're doing is we're putting the photos at the forefront of photo sharing. So instead of having to flip back and forth between portrait and landscape orientation, we've locked the phone in landscape orientation and given users the ability to share photos in full screen using their entire mobile screen. So this is kind of an illustration of how visual content is typically displayed or viewed. As you can see, we have the TV, the laptop, smart board. I also have a billboard, and also the human eyes. We view the world in a landscape panoramic view. I don't think anybody in this room walks around with tunnel vision, right? But in the mobile world, this is essentially what we're doing when we take and share photos. We're essentially walking around with blinders on, it seems like, because we're sharing photos on a narrow width vertical screen. So like I said, this is why we decided to create Murol, strictly landscape photo sharing app. So here's a screenshot from the newsfeed in Murol. As you can see, your phone is flipped to the side. The photo blankets the entire screen. The only time you would see the caption or the like and comment bar is when you tap on the screen. So as you're scrolling through your newsfeed, literally all you see is photo, nothing else. So I know there's also a username which kind of serves as a watermark for when people screenshot your photo. It can kind of serve as a watermark for who captured that photo to get their credit. And I know one of the questions I'm going to get asked is, so how are you different from Instagram? What makes you different from Instagram? Because if we're a photo sharing app, I mean, that's the first thing that comes to our minds, right, is Instagram. So this is a perfect illustration of how we're different from Instagram. So this is the same photo captured by the Vikings photographer, Andy Canutis, and this is what that photo looks like on Instagram, and this is what that exact same photo looks like on Murol. So as you can see, the photo blankets the entire screen. There's minimal distractions, so we don't have tabs and comments and some of these other distractions. And when you're scrolling through your newsfeed on Instagram, the photo actually shares the screen with somebody else's photo. But what we're doing is, if you're taking the time to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go capture that perfect photo of a sunrise, you shouldn't have to share screen space with somebody else's photo or with comments or tabs or likes. You want people to be fully immersed into your photo and appreciate the quality of that photo. So this is literally the same photo in one platform versus versus another. So we launched in the App Store. That's my presentation. We launched in the App Store 3 months ago. We're approaching 2,000 users. We're only on iOS right now, but we plan on launching for Android in probably by next summer. So I just kind of want to open it up to feedback, questions, criticism, whatever the case is, and yeah, go ahead. That's my presentation. Do we take questions now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Who's on my?
Which will come first, Android or video?
Oh man, That's a tough question. I think Android, because we would like to perfect the photo sharing experience before we move into video. And you're on the app and you'll see we have a far from perfect product. We still have some tweaks and iterations we have to make. So until we feel fully confident in that, in us revolutionizing the photo sharing experience, we probably aren't going to move to video. So probably going to launch on Android first before we add the video functionality.
You mean iOS, right?
So he was asking if we were going to launch on Android or add the video functionality first. And I said we're probably going to launch the photo sharing app on Android before adding the video functionality.
Okay.
So, any other question?
What told you guys that this was a problem? I mean, until you presented it, I didn't know that it was a problem. Is there any formal research besides your
Yes,
own?
absolutely. So when Instagram first launched, you were literally restricted to their little box. I'm not sure what the exact dimensions were. So any photo you took, you had to crop it to fit their interface, right? So essentially what Instagram did was they changed the user's behavior, because whenever you took photos, you would have in the back of your mind, how would this look on Instagram, right? So when Instagram finally allowed users to be able to share their entire landscape wide photos onto the screen without having to crop it out, and just seeing the reaction from the users and saying, finally, I don't have to crop my photos, I can fit my wide panoramic photos onto the screen, and just reading forums and online articles and things like that was where I kind of just started getting it in the back of my mind that there's actually a huge market for not only landscape photographers, but people who take and capture wide photos, right? And you know, even beyond professional photography, have you ever tried to take a group photo in portrait mode? It's hard to do, right? You kind of have to flip your phone to the side to be able to capture everybody. So what we're doing is with this slight change in photo sharing, what we've noticed is that people are starting to capture images of their environment, of their experiences, as opposed to Instagram, where we might see, you might see more selfies, more photos of yourself. But even with non-professional photographers on the app, you see them capturing photos of like, a sunrise or a sunset or buildings or group photos or, just really, really compelling images, as opposed to the, conventional, selfies. So, go ahead.
So what about like panoramic pictures? I see that on Facebook where you post a panoramic picture with your phone. Is that supported or something that you want?
No, so I think you're talking about the 360 photos where you move your phone and you can kind of...
Sure, I want to take a panoramic photo.
Yeah, so we don't have the panoramic functionality yet, but like I said, that is something we're looking at. I know we're also looking at like collages, filters, and things like that. So we do have people who share panoramic photos on our platform, and they look absolutely amazing because they take up the entire screen.
And that's kind of a whole different aspect of photography that I don't think this is really as suited for. As a photographer myself, I share the experience where when I'm shooting for Instagram, it's completely different how it's composed than it is if I'm doing a traditional landscape photo. And I see this as being really helpful, not only being able to share the landscape photo, but the idea that it's full screen. Images always look a lot more impressive the larger they are. And when you got it all, scrunched down, it's just completely different how you shoot and compose the image.
Absolutely, and I thought the widescreen format of that would be amazing for a visual panoramic picture where instead of looking at the square that you see on Facebook, your entire screen turns into this movable panoramic.
Absolutely, absolutely. So these are all functionalities that we literally have in our product log, and we're just waiting to roll it out. Go ahead.
Obviously, with Instagram and Facebook and other social media content, the reason I think that they probably have this is the scrolling capabilities and the capability of ads and redirecting you to different sites. You're showing the beauty of a photo. How is your revenue model going to
So
Win if you're not redirecting sites or something else.
So the tricky part about Mural is, so the entire photo is the interface, right? So you're saying, okay, when you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can scroll through different photos, see different links, different comments, navigate to different pages. But with Mural, we do have that social network aspect of it. It just hides behind the photo. So when you're scrolling through your newsfeed, all you will see is a photo, and on the top right corner, you would see the so you would see the username of the person who uploaded the photo, and you can tap on the screen and view the person's profile, and then you can scroll up to kind of see some of the photos of the user. So even if the social network isn't what you see at first glance, it does exist. It just hides behind the photo. In terms of a revenue model, I always tell people, if we can get to the point, and this is why I'm here too, so I can get feedback. If we can get to the point where we can build our audience and communicate to advertisers that on our app, if you can come up with a really compelling ad, you can know with 100% certainty that people will stop and stare. It's almost like a billboard, right? When I'm driving on the highway and I see a really compelling billboard, it captures my attention as opposed to a little yard sign that I might not notice. So that's what we might move into is, approaching advertising and saying, hey, we can make Murol like your mobile billboard. And when users are scrolling through the news feed, they will always stop and stare at your photo and be able to communicate your marketing message through that full screen image.
Let me just intercept and say, typically we would like to ask our presenters what it is that this community can do for you. I didn't do that at the front end, but you mentioned the idea of being able to get feedback. What is one of the more important purposes you have as NASC to this community?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is coming up with our knockout punch. So I always use this illustration is Instagram when they first launched, their big idea was we're going to use photos as a form of communication. But their knockout punch was the one-click filters. And Snapchat, when they came out with their base idea of disappearing photos, that caught some traction, but their knockout punch was my story. So with us, our founding idea is this strictly landscape way of sharing photos, but we're still struggling with what that knockout punch is going to be that's going to kind of tie everything up together. So I don't know if there's anyone in the crowd that kind of has, some ideas they might want to throw at me. Go ahead.
Question for you. Do you
Yes.
think of this more as so you keep using the social experiment and
Mhm.
whatnot. Do you think of it more of a Flickr style, or do you think of it more of a Facebook style Instagram? Or is it a blend of? Because I see more Flickr in this
Yeah.
than I do Facebook social
Okay.
networking.
So I see it more as a Flickr,
Okay.
but with ridiculous attention to the quality of the photo. Even on Flickr, you would have to tap on the screen and then flip your phone to the side for the photo to reorient into full screen landscape. But with Mural, the photo is already full screen landscape, so you have that appreciation for the quality more. So the biggest thing with Mural is the quality of the photo and just how genuine it is. So when you go on Mural, you can appreciate the quality of the photo, and as a photographer, you don't have to compromise the size, the quality, or share screen space with anything else.
So one of the things that I just can immediately is you're looking for kind of that knockout punch.
Yes.
Just a moment ago, you pulled out your phone and you shared with us, some pictures that you had, obviously on your phone, and almost from here I could see what the pictures were because it really is, full
Yeah.
screen. So what I would say is that, I could see your product being really useful for people who are kind of like giving presentations that might be very different, in kind of rapid context. Specifically, like, if I wanted to pull somebody out and show the activity of my group, right, I would much rather show it on your thing than show it on Facebook, because Facebook, I scroll through and it's like, oh, here's some people and they talked about something and the picture's kind of small. But if I really wanted to show somebody something, right, I'd really like to show it in a format that's similar to yours, right, because so maybe there's, an applicability in presentations,
Okay.
like people sharing their stuff with their friends, like together, right, in real life, that is enabled with what you have as opposed to, obviously what other people have. The one thing I would sort of question about it is, obviously the idea of, scrolling down a feed is like a very seductive thing, right? Like when you start scrolling down a feed and every next thing is like interesting, the result is that, you kind of just keep going and it's kind of mindless and you can spend a lot of time doing it. The question is, with something where it's more full screen and you're kind of, scrolling, is it sort of easier to stop because you don't kind of get that sense that maybe something is next? And is there a way that, like, you could maybe have a, preview window in the lowercase, like picture-in-picture on television screens, or something that keeps you going? But nevertheless, I really like the idea, and I recognize the value of that sort of expansion of the content.
Absolutely, I definitely see what you're saying. And so we recently added a new update that previews your photos, kind of in a thumbnail style slider here. So you can see a preview of my murals before you scroll up and view that experience of viewing the photos in full screen. So like I said, the only time you see anything else is when you tap on the screen. You would see the caption. If there was a caption, it would appear on the bottom left here, as you can see. And then only then can you like the photo. You can also view who liked the photos, comment on it, share it, and do some of the conventional social media activities. Go ahead.
And also to kind of answer your question, so I use Murol, I have for a while, and it doesn't prevent you from going up, and what you described is called scoliosis. So that's kind of that, and I've definitely lost a lot of time on Murol.
So, and another important thing about Murol is, so each photo is a stopping point. So as you all know, you can kind of endlessly scroll through Facebook and Instagram, but on Murol, each photo is kind of like a little child screaming for attention, like view me, view me, view me, right? So you can obviously scroll as fast as you need to, but as you're scrolling, each photo is a stopping point. So it's photo, 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 as opposed to just...
So it's kind of my personal thoughts is I'm someone who engages with content, but I don't produce content.
Okay.
And so I think about as someone who would download the app and I would enjoy looking at high quality photos, but I would personally never be able to produce a photo that I believe consistently will have a beautiful feed where someone's going to look at my profile or photo consistently.
Right.
So maybe as like the knockout punch, there's an opportunity to find professional content creators who see the true value of being able to produce those photos, who can do that consistently. Because I have a couple of apps on my phone of specifically companies that produce high quality content, and it's strictly photos. And I engage as a user a lot with them. But as a producer, I probably wouldn't use the app because I don't have the technical ability to produce a beautiful photo. Even though I have the camera on my phone, I don't feel confident in putting out consistently high quality photographs. Whereas if there was, feeds or streams of other content producers that are professional, I would really enjoy that as an entertainment vehicle. But in a social landscape, I personally would be hesitant to use the app because I'm not, I can take a square photo pretty easily and it's okay and it doesn't have to be perfect. But if the focus is on beautiful, high quality photographs, I would be nervous to create a profile personally.
So I'm scrolling through our popular page right now, and I actually see a couple of iPhone photos, right? And what I've realized with Murol is that we're almost like creating little photographers out of just simply being able to flip your phone to the side. Because all of a sudden, people are taking more time and making sure the lighting and that the image they're capturing is, like you said, compelling enough to be able to share it on the app. Because if the photo is going to take up the entire screen, and if I'm going to stop and stare at this one photo, you better make it a compelling image, right? So there is that pressure. We have heard people who say, I just don't think my photos are good enough on photos, which is where now we're going to start focusing more on the actual camera function and making it better. I know one of the ideas we had is some kind of way to let people know they're holding their phones still, because as you know, even a little shake in the camera will kind of blur out the photo. So having some kind of number on the screen where if you're at a, say, a 0.00, you're absolutely still. And if there's a little bit of movement, you'll know somehow in your interface that your phone is moving and you might not be able to capture the best image.
I guess you really didn't touch on how your stream is filtered.
Okay.
Whose photos am I looking at, and what's to prevent me from looking at a bunch of people's family photos or party photos that I don't want to see?
So you can follow people. So when you sign up for the app, what we've done is, because we don't want you to sign up for Murol and have a blank newsfeed. So what we've done is you automatically follow the Murol profile, which we constantly upload photos of other people. So we'll say, Uzama uploaded this photo, we'll tag him to it. So when you sign up for Murol, you already have a feed, and that feed is from the Murol profile. And then from that feed, you can pretty much be connected with the rest of the Murol community, whether it's by clicking on the comments, clicking on the people who liked, navigating to our popular page, and then following those people, and then following their followers. So basically, from you following the Murol page, you're open to the entire Murol community.
What's the gallery functionality? Because I could imagine, like, if I had, if I were a wedding photographer, I would really love to have my like wedding photography portfolio, on Murol because, right, it presents the images in such a stunning way. Do you have a strong gallery functionality? And maybe you don't have it now because you're earlier in your process, but is it something that you imagine you would have?
Well, we assume your profile would be your gallery. So when I just showed you the profile, and we're still cleaning it up, but so we imagine this would be your gallery. So if you're a wedding photographer, right, and you're at a meeting like this, and you're trying to, show people some of your work of capturing wedding images, you can just pull out your profile. Okay, here's my profile, and you can scroll through so they can see kind of like a preview of your images, and then this is just a build that I just got sent the other day, so we don't have it where you can click on it yet, but you would be able to click on each photo to kind of blow it up, or you can just scroll through manually to view some of the full screen photos that you captured. So I'm not sure if you're referring to like the gallery function of 500 pixels, where you can kind of add somebody else's photo to your gallery, and then you can scroll through that.
What I was specifically thinking is like, so I'm a person and I've got my personal photos, and that's all well and good, and that's kind of my personal profile. But what if I wanted to set up like my wedding shop, right, or my whatever it might be? It's something that's outside of myself, but that I would like to have effectively a presence that I can point people to, and when I go somewhere and I want to present about my wedding shop, right, like I'm not sharing my personal stuff as much as I've now kind of like made the whole thing look like my wedding shop.
So having like your personal and your wedding photos all under one profile, one username, and be able to like segment,
or even separately, right? So like, I mean, on Facebook you have pages and groups, right, in addition to personal profiles, and so basically the idea is like, could you have a page, right, Facebook equivalent for your wedding business or your whatever company it might be that is displaying this really, really, really beautiful content?
Okay. So we're more like your, more like your Instagram and your Flickr and your 500 pixels than Facebook. Because Facebook, as you can tell, has a lot going on, right? Like there's groups, there's events, and there's all these other different things. So with our interface and with our navigation style, it's important for us to keep it as simple as possible. Because what we're doing is we're following the Snapchat way of navigation, right? Because we didn't want any tabs. Let's see here. So we don't have any tabs like you see here on Instagram, right? What our way of navigation is simply just swiping left and right. So this makes it kind of difficult to be able to, extend our functionality or be able to add things like pages, events, and things like that. So I think you probably would just have to create a different profile for your wedding photography, and then we'll probably in the future just have to find a way for you to switch between profiles easily.
So Henry, let me just ask, are you targeting professional photographers to show their book, or is this meant to be an every person application?
Well, with Murol, we have to think big while thinking small at the same time, right? So, like I said, if the photo's the interface. So if I walk up to you and I'm showing you Murol and I'm like, hey, I got this really cool app, check it out, and you're seeing some pretty crappy photos, you would think it's a crappy app since the photo takes up the entire screen, right? But when we first started testing, what we did is we reached out to photographers, and even specifically landscape photographers, so we can get some of these big widescreen images. So at first glance, when I show you the app, you see amazing images. And I remember showing people the app and they say, wow, like this app is pretty clean. It's well designed. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's the photo is beautiful. That's why you think the app is beautiful. So if the photo looks bad, the app looks bad, which is why we're focusing our attention on photographers, and even more niche than that, landscape photographers. Obviously, the big vision is, so our big vision is to, I don't know if I shared this, but our big vision is to be a main hub for displaying visual landscape content. So any landscape content any content that's better optimized than landscape, we kind of want Murol to be that main hub for viewing this content, whether it's photos, collages, 360 photos, videos eventually. We kind of just want to be the main hub for all landscape content because we feel like it's something that's kind of been an afterthought in the social media world.
One thing I just really like about it is it kind of gets you, I mean, for those of us who might remember, it gets you back to like when you actually sat down with a stack of photos with somebody and like looked at them together, right? It was like an actually a really nice experience, and I think that this sort of gets people at least back to be able to enjoy their photos in a similar way.
Yes, so like I said, it's literally all about photos, and even Flickr, Instagram, they dub themselves as ruthlessly focusing on the picture, focusing in on the pictures, but with Murol, we're taking that to a whole new level and saying we're going to make that photo the interface. Go ahead.
Is there a way to tag your photo like in a category? So if I'm a new user and I want to see photos of sunsets, is there a way to do that?
No, not yet, but yes, we definitely will. Yeah, we definitely will add that. We'll more than likely add it to. So this is our popular page, which is super simple. As you can see, it's just the top 15 photos on the app. So we'll probably have maybe a recent tab and a recommended tab, so you can be able to see some of the photos you might be more interested in.
Is there any legal concern, I guess, with professional photographers sharing professional photos and people using those photos for?
Well, when you sign up for the app, we let you know, you are going to be sharing your personal work, and, you do run the risk of, somebody screenshotting your photo and using it for whatever else it is. So, we do let them know that, yes.
Have you removed the save photo feature?
We don't have the save photo feature. You would have to screenshot it. But when you screenshot it, the person who uploaded the photo would be right there, because that's the only thing. That's the only thing that shows when you're scrolling through Murol is this. This only pops up when you click on the screen.
It still wouldn't have the resolution to share in anything other than a social environment though, right?
Yeah.
You could probably enable people to create like their own custom watermark. So like if there was a screenshot taken, like maybe the phone would be able to put that watermark on it, or have that little thing in the upper right hand be what they define to be their watermark. So I think that there's some opportunities there, especially since you're going after a more professional crowd that does care about the copywriting of their work.
We only have time for one more question.
Do you have any proprietary rights to changing the mode, or like one of the big apps changing their modes and copying something similar to yours?
See, that's the tricky part. So the USPTO hasn't caught up to this new age of apps and social media and putting down in writing what's considered infringement, right? As you guys all know, Instagram just flat out copied Snapchat's functionality of disappearing photos, but they can do that because there's really nothing proprietary code-wise. I mean, anyone who has any knowledge of coding can be able to make an app where you send disappearing photos. So things like that are difficult to put a patent or copyright on, which is why with us, it's also such a simple concept that we could probably, you know, copyright strictly landscape app with thin white borders around it, or we can copyright our design, right? So if you guys see the new Instagram functionality of disappearing photos, it's different from Snapchat's interface. Now, if they flat out copied Snapchat's interface, their design, and exactly how it looks, then Snapchat would have a case in court and saying, okay, this is a copycat of what we're doing. But in terms of the function of sending disappearing photos, it would be almost impossible to be able to copyright that. Go ahead.
You mentioned making it searchable, like sunrise photos or whatever.
Yes.
And you're kind of aiming towards the more professional, high-quality photos. Have you thought anything about making these available for sale if the owner wants to sell them something like Getty Images for stock photos and some of that?
Okay, so
stuff?
stock images, yes, we've definitely thought about that, and I'm literally doing market research right now with photographers and asking them, how do you, and I just posted on it on the beta test page, I know Mondo's on the beta test page, and I literally asked, how do photographers value their work? What's the difference between a $250 photo and a $2,500 photo, and how do you place a price on that? Like, what's your method behind that, right? Because I think that's something we can also flirt with, is making it ridiculously easy for people to make money on their photos. So, but with that, there's so much gray area in terms of, well, I mean, we can't just put one standard price on all the photos, because some images look better than others. But also, if we leave it up to the photographers to be able to price their work,
They price it, you take a 10% cut or whatever.
right, but you know, we're human beings, and you know, some of them might overprice their work and might not be able to sell anything, because I mean, we always think we're better, right, than we actually are, or worth more than we actually are. We're human beings, right? I do the same thing. So the gray area there is, how do you put a price on a picture, and what would be more the price range where you can sell more of your photos? I mean, kind of the iTunes strategy, right? Because before iTunes, we all bought albums at Best Buy for $15, and we would listen to the entire album. But iTunes kind of changed that strategy by saying, no, now you're going to buy each song for 99 cents. So, but with photographers, it would piss photographers off if you just kind of put a standard price on all the photos. Well, all the photos you buy on Murol are going to be $99. You know, it's like, oh, my photo is worth $99,000. I'm not going to, so there's definitely a gray area in that.
Thank you, Henry. We need a few